ERP systems were supposed to deliver perhaps upon three promises. One promise was that they were going to automate business processes throughout the enterprise, and by and large, ERP systems have done that. Not in banking as much, because banking had different sets of needs, but in manufacturing, retail, and other industries, ERP environments have satisfied that stated goal. Another thing that they were supposed to do was to give consistent tooling, to make the IT environment more consistent throughout the organization. By and large, they've done a lot towards that as well. Perhaps not completely, as companies have purchased reporting tools and merged. There is still disparity in the ERP environment, but by and large, they've reached a lot of that goal. Now, the one thing that I think they were also trying to do was the premise that once you get all of this data into consistent tooling and all the business processes automated, that was going to give you a great deal of reporting capability and consistency across the data. I think that this is one of the places where the ERP systems have failed. Why is that? Well, when you install a new ERP system, they come with thousands, tens of thousands of tables that have to be created when you install the ERP environment. They all are very disparate in the way the business processes were defined for the underlying data. The consistency is completely lost. Let's go back to our banking analogy for just a moment. When you started a new, when you had to hire the second clerk in the banking environment, and you gave them a brand new journal so that they could record things in conjunction with the other clerk finishing recording things, that process of recording, the starting of those ledgers were probably recorded in the same format. At some place through the process, though, some clerk, when they got a new journal to record things for their business process, they said, you know what, I'd like to record an additional attribute around my customers, or around my product, or around my branch, or around my geography, or something of that sort. That step right there, because it was recorded in a separate book, then it started this process of these things becoming disparate in the way they get recorded. Each one of those books started to develop different data structures involved. Now, we took at the end of each of those business processes, we took a summary of the data from that business process to post to the general ledger. So the general ledger was consistent, gave us a view across the organization. But within each one of the books, it was different. If you thought about it as a spreadsheet, it would be the same sort of problem. Each tab of the spreadsheet is something different. Yes, we've got one tab at the end where we aggregate and have a summary view of the consistency of each one of the tabs, but using each one independently is very complex. The difference we're talking about now with the next generation of the ERP environment is to think about the data structures consistently across those business processes and have that consistency built in, and have the difference reflected through the custom identifier, the contract identifier, the vendor identifier, the customer identifier. Keep all of those differences independent of the basic structure for the metrics involved. That has the promise of delivering on what the ERP systems were not capable of doing, to give us consistency of the data across business processes throughout the organization. There could be tremendous value in that next-gen ERP promise.